right, we're live.
And Shadow fell down.
Shadow disappeared, but that's all right.
He fell down.
Today on Conversation Nation, going to jump in. Oh yeah, he fell out. Let's see here. Okay, he's gonna reconnect. That's all right. So here on Conversation Nation, we're going to be talking about toxic masculinity. We have diversity is our strength. We're going to really break that down and give you like a different perspective on it, and basically make it specific to gender roles, because that's what we're talking about today. Today we want to talk about the modern, mundane marriage that's going on today, and see how we can kind of spice things up from the man's perspective. And so while we wait for Chano to come in, we're going to go ahead and jump into our weekly here. Let's go into this. How's everybody doing? I can see everybody. I can see Orange Man in the chat, in the chitty chat. There he is. There he is. What's up, dude? All right. How you doing today, Anthony?
Doing well. It's a busy day. It was a little late, but we're here and we're ready to go. So,
what have you been up to?
Well, the wife's looking for some work, and been working at the church part time, and just she's been doing a lot of stuff, and I'm just kind of helping out where I can.
Okay.
And with a 2-year-old, it never ends. So
the 2-year-old baby girl. That's right. That's right.
So you can imagine how the days are every day.
Yeah, I know, dude. I've been working a lot, so
it's fun. It's a lot.
Yeah, it is, dude. The life stays busy, man. I'm gonna see where Chano went here. Let's see what happened to Chanito. So we're gonna get into it, talk about toxic masculinity, but first we'll just throw this up here. Conversation Nation Weekly. We do want to do it every Sunday, but like this week was just crazy. Yeah, there it is. That's right. This week was just crazy, and so we weren't able to get anything really going on Sunday. Working a lot, making that money, you know what I mean? Providing for the family. So meanwhile, what we're doing is we're just going to go ahead and continue to go. Hold on one second here.
Daddy said he'll fix it, go. Go to Daddy.
Let's see here.
I don't know how he's going to fix it, but... Go to Daddy.
One second.
Ow!
You're okay. No. You're okay.
Can you take it off?
You can't take your nail off.
That's what I told her. This.
Oh, she has a splinter.
Well, I can't. You have to get it. I can't get it.
Gosh. Okay, can see.
So let's get into this.
That's the airplane.
So we're going to get into it. Let's talk about this. Toxic masculinity.
Actually, that's Justin and Daddy.
What is it?
What's that?
What is it, and do you have it? Almost like it's a disease. So the term toxic masculinity came around. I know it's been used for years, but it's really been thrown around in the media quite regularly now, but kind of ever since maybe like 2015, 2016, and also Chano's computer's coming back to life, so it's stuff like that. So
You still got an
well, yeah, he's got the AOL. So whenever he comes back on, we'll have him jump in and give his thoughts. But toxic masculinity, a term that's been thrown around in movies quite a bit, and basically in media and reporters covering it. And so What do you think about when you hear the term toxic masculinity, Anthony?
Well, I think there's a. I think there's a right way and a wrong way to have the form of masculinity, and I think I think the way you represent yourself can be toxic at times, depending on how you're portraying. Excuse me. Also, how you're portraying the masculinity that you're trying to represent. That could come off as a bad thing. I don't really think there's a one specific way that could be portrayed. It could be a right way or a wrong way.
There he is. Yeah, I think there he is. There's the man, Chano. All right.
What's up, man?
Let's do this right. Let's get this started. Here he is. He made it. Okay, here we go. So here we are, Conversation Nation, from the West Coast
To the East Coast.
from California
To Georgia.
This is
Conversation Nation.
I
just
There you go. Don't worry about that, little buddy.
It was still all over the place, so I just kind of hung out.
Okay.
You just watched us drown. That's all right.
I'm a lifeguard. You guys gonna be all right.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, so we're talking about toxic masculinity. I know you were watching in the chat. Maybe you weren't watching at all because your Mac literally stopped working.
Yeah. As soon as we're going to be going live, it just shut off. I'm sitting here for an hour and a half waiting for this, and then boom, goes as soon as we're going live.
Dude.
How it goes. That's how it goes. So when I talk about the characteristics of it, that's really what it boils down to, as far as like pride, confidence, being mean, having low empathy. What are some of the things that you think of when I say toxic masculinity, Chano?
I think I have this natural defense against it, because all the terms here really are so negative. I'm right away toxic, and I don't think a lot of people don't really define toxic and masculinity separate. It's just always it's like one word. It's just not that. So whenever I hear it, I guess if you would ask me this, 5-6 years ago, I would think an abusive person, a person who demands instead of provides, a man who disregards others. But nowadays, I am less likely to feel that way. More, I want to hear when someone mentions toxic masculinity, I want to know what they are really meaning. Are they meaning someone just being masculine? Is all masculine now toxic? So now I tend to have more questions than jump to automatically thinking, oh, this person who they're talking about is abusive. I need more background nowadays because it's been a catch-all for you don't like a man, they're toxic. You just
Correct. Yeah, I think that females, we're not in their shoes. So if I was to put myself in their shoes and try to look at
which he often does.
Look at this dude. Actually, I just have slippers on right now. I think that it's been portrayed in movies here lately. I think that the feminist culture wants to reach the young men of this generation and the young girls of this generation and preach a certain message to them that's gone far beyond men and women are equal to men are bad and women are virtuous and good, and that in these roles that they put in Hollywood, they often swap the gender of the role in traditional male roles. Like if you could think of something like one day I think it'll be Batman. Well, there is Batgirl, but maybe Batman becomes Batgirl. Or
I think a perfect example here is I think you're talking about basically Ocean's 11. Ocean's 11, it was a great movie. I mean, great,
Yeah.
hands down. You know, Oceans, what is it, 13 or whatever the new one is, just didn't work. It didn't work for a lot of people on a lot of different levels.
No, and it had a lot of star power too. I mean, there
It had a
was
lot of star power.
yeah, it was an all-star lineup, but
Oh, yeah,
it's
that's right. All-star lineup if they do what they're known for, if they act in the roles in which they are best fitted for, not be shoved into a role because it's what is deemed necessary in society.
right, checking a box.
Right. I mean, Marvel's had a big problem with this in the last couple of years. Marvel was at their height of producing movies, 2015, 2010. All the movies came out then. I mean, lines around the block. I'd buy my tickets a week in advance. Nowadays you can't get people to see a Marvel movie. Why? Because after I would say about a movie or so, like at Spider-Man, after the what was that? Not the last Avengers movie.
Uh,
It's
which
escaping
one
me now.
that just came out? Oh, not Madam Web. That's DC.
No. I'm talking about the last arc. With
Oh
Thanos.
yeah, it was Endgame, right?
Endgame. Yeah, after Endgame, they had one good Spider-Man movie, and then they went extremely. I mean, just for lack of a better term, woke. And they're playing these. They're trying to really go towards more feminine roles where it was working. What they were doing is working. Trying to stick to the comics was working. Telling the story I was meant to be told was working.
Mm-hmm.
And now, I mean, they made several movies that just flop.
Yeah, and they base them off of a lot of their TV series too, which are also struggling.
And the answer seems to be our movie failed because the viewers aren't, the toxic masculinity. That's why our movies failed. Our movies failed because the viewers don't know what to watch. Our movies failed because the viewers are sexist. It's like, no, your movies failed because you stopped listening to your viewers.
Yeah, they've forgotten the audience, and the audience is predominantly male.
Well, you have to think about,
especially
go ahead.
for superhero movies. Yeah, go ahead.
well, I mean, you have to think about something else too, though. Is there's a new type of audience that's out too, and so you don't want to almost like they're going to pull the discrimination card because, well, this has been around for a long time and it's been this way for a long time. But guess what? Now we're this generation that feels we have a say now. And if we don't, then we're going to use it as discrimination. We're going to use it as a racism thing, a gender role, and we're gonna play the card basically because for so long we never said anything. So and so never said anything, and it was always this way. But now that this generation is like, I want to do it this way, and if we backlash it or we don't agree to the terms of what they're asking, then it becomes homophobic. It becomes racist. It becomes this and this, and they start putting a label on something that was never intentionally meant that way. You're just easily offended, I feel like, and again, woke, because you feel like you're entitled to something that was already here before.
So, Anthony, sorry I jumped in when you said something about being racist. What was the rest of it? I'm kidding.
No, I just think a lot of people are easily offended, and you're trying to reinvent the wheel to what you're wanting it to be, and I don't think it's right. That's just me though thinking it.
Look at a lot of these films that have been gender swapped just to pander to women or pander to or try to reach little girls to show them that they can be superheroes too, or they can be I don't know, save the world too, fight bad guys too. Interesting. I mean, superheroes have superpowers. So male or female, it doesn't really matter when they're going against, I don't know, another superhero. Does the superhero that's a man have more strength than the superhero that's a female? I mean, Superwoman is this?
I think it's laziness. I think that Hollywood says, look, we have Captain America, and he's already made character, and he's filling the role. All we have to do is swap him out, and it'll continue. Why not start fresh like you did from the beginning? You know what? Let's remember, Xena Warrior Princess was an outstanding show that no one really talks about, was a very popular show. It was about two women who were badasses.
Mhm.
Why not revive a show like that?
Why
I
not?
think
Wonder
again,
Woman.
Yeah, it would be great. Yeah, they don't take the good female roles that they had that are super popular and rewrite those or build upon those. I mean,
Yes.
Wonder Woman did well. The first
Yeah.
one, but the second one was trash.
Yeah.
The second
but
one was
at the same time, when you look at it that way, I don't want to discriminate either and say that they can't be this because I don't want my daughter to feel like she can't be a superhero either. But at the same
Well,
time,
I mean,
there's a
and that
difference.
in that aspect, I think we're actually causing more damage than good. We're not saying you can't be this. We're saying, hey, it's just better if you take over a man's role instead of building up on yourself.
Right? No, I agree. I just want to make that clear
Yes.
because some people might totally interpret this the wrong way, and I want to kind of, kind of be on
Yeah.
both sides a little bit.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I mean, it's definitely there's a balance to it. But what the point that I was getting at is that little boys are they gravitate towards those things, male things, strong, tough, machines, trucks, superheroes. These are things that they are naturally drawn to. And what society is trying to do is draw little boys away from those things on purpose to make them have this diverse view of masculine and feminine, and they're wanting them to be almost like both, take all the good of the masculine, if there is any, if they can see any there, and take that, mix that with the emotional side, because they feel like men need to be more empathetic to society and to the female plight and everybody else that they feel is under them. And so why are you trying to rewrite the male gene? It's just like the male was designed a certain way, and when you're trying to pull him away from it, you're trying to change the mind a little, like a brainwashing. And in fact, people that raise their children that certain way, to steer them away from any type of masculinity, and trying to change the gender roles, the traditional gender roles, for their children. And that's just not something that I'm going to be doing. But then you talk about, yeah, girls can do anything. What about when they go off to college and they're going to have a career? Are they supposed to stay at home and not build that profession that they work so hard to get? I don't know. I don't think that's right either. And we're going to get into that in the third segment of this. But right now, as we wrap up toxic masculinity, what is it, and do you have it? Almost like it's a disease. It's really not a disease. Men, if you're out there and you're listening, the thing about being a man is to be brave when you can be brave, and when there's fear and there's tough times ahead, those are the times that you have to stand up for yourself and for your family and be a man. And sometimes you're going to fall down, but you get back up. It doesn't mean that you have to be a mean person to do it. It doesn't mean that you have to dismiss people to do it. But sometimes you have to do what you have to do to make it through the day. And that's what being a man's all about.
Yeah, so to jump on that, I think you hit it when you said be mean sometimes. To be a man is to be a good man, but to be a good man, you can't always be a nice man. There are times when you have to be tough. There are times you have to make certain decisions. There is a big difference between being a nice person and being a good person. A good person can't always be a nice person. That's just how the world works. If you listen to Jordan Peterson, have you guys listened to Jordan Peterson?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So he'll tell you that masculinity is it's not only okay to be a man, it's important to be a man. That how much men contribute to society and get so little recognition for it.
Yeah.
Where's Justin go?
I probably fell asleep. No, it's true. I just, I think we were us three, and I think we can agree on this. We were raised different, big time. And if you look at the way things are now, it's almost like we want to instill what we were raised into our children now, and it's kind of hard because I feel like the world's kind of almost suffocated them into what they're doing, and they don't know how to respond to the way we were raised when we try to teach them. And sometimes we can get frustrated because we expect them to be raised this way. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so, and it's hard. It's a tough situation because you're kind of putting your child in a sense in the middle, where you want to encourage them to be themselves and be whatever to do what they want to do and be happy with it. But at the same time, you want to set these, these standards or these kind of influences in place that kind of, not separate them from what's going on now, but at least give them a taste of what we dealt with, so they have an option to decide on how they want to take life.
So I think we're actually going to touch on that also in the third segment.
Okay.
I believe so. Yeah, I think that's so. Just a quick segue there. I actually run a lot of whiteboard meetings in my household. I'm going to start a channel soon talking about my whiteboard meetings, and this is something that's involved in that. But we'll get to that later.
Okay.
Sure. Okay, there we go. All right, let's go into the next segment. That was good. Diversity is our strength. Is this embraced with men and women? So we know of the term diversity is our strength. It's a term commonly used by the woke ideology, if you want to call it that. And it's basically saying that, all our different cultures, our different tastes are our strength, because we're, there's in our differences, there's good things. And so I totally agree with that. While I agree with that, I don't feel like that statement is being fairly attributed to everybody. And when it comes to men and women, I feel like diversity is our strength, but the fact that they're using that term in the way that they use it, when they're coming at men in such a vile way, it doesn't really say that diversity is our strength. In fact, they would want to say that actually they want the things that we have, and they want to do the things that we do. And that's not being different, because they are who they are. They're females, and they were made a certain way. And for the majority, they are wired a certain way. Now, you do have those gray areas where you have females that work in construction. You have females that are superheroes and those things, and all those things are great. But the vast majority of females are not doing those things. They're doing what they were designed to do. What do you think about that?
I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be honest, dude. I think a lot of times because education to me is obviously important. But as you guys know, I grew up in a construction background, and that's been pretty much besides the medical, that's been my life. But at the same time, I've worked with females in construction, and they work, if not equally as hard, harder than me, which is 100% true. They work harder than I do. Like I said, if not equally, they work harder. They have a better knowledge of the stuff that I've done. I can usually eyeball stuff pretty well and then use a tape measure to kind of, double check my work. And sometimes they'll know it, and it's not offensive to me. I just think it's kind of interesting, because I'm like, well, what are your techniques that I can learn from? Because apparently I'm not as experienced as you are, And I've actually talked to some females about this that I've been in construction with. And they were just like, well, my dad taught me this, or my grandpa taught me this, and they have a story on how they learned something. And it goes back to the saying that I've learned, measure twice, cut once, And so you take that and you think about, they're probably being taught a different way to do something one time. And I'm doing something a different way to do something one time, But if I take what they've learned and I take what I've learned and I try to figure out, and I try both ways, now I'm measuring twice and I'm cutting once.
Mm.
and which is going to work better for me, which is going to be more accurate for me to know that I'm efficient in what I do. So when I run into somebody that, is a female in the medical field or in construction or anything, I mean, you got to respect that. They're doing what we're doing, if not better. There's better musicians than me that are females, you know? And I think that's amazing.
So do you think there are traditional male roles versus traditional female roles in a professional setting?
No. And the only reason I say that is because I grew up on a dairy, and every male and female that was in that house got up at 5 a.m. and we worked.
What were there equal amount of both male and female? I mean, and I'm talking about down the middle. If you had 20 employees, were 10 male and 10 female, or was it you?
No, it was me and my cousin, and he had, I believe, 4 sisters, and we all got up at 5, and we all got dressed, got our boots on, and we all did.
See, I think that's a very particular
females and your cousin.
Yeah, I still think that's a very particular like group that you're picking from. You're picking up from people who were raised on a dairy or on a farm to farm. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think I don't think you can grab from there and say this is the generalized public. I don't, believe that. When I went to school, Justin, I'm sure when you went to school the same way. I sat in a classroom when there was 24 of us, and 5 of us were male, and the rest were female. When we were going to the medical field.
Oh yeah, I've been there. I've been there for graphic design. I think a lot of them were female.
Yeah,
like 3 other males.
I mean, I do believe we do have roles that are traditional. I'm not saying soul. I'm not saying they're 100%. I'm saying traditionally done by men and traditionally done by female. And I don't think that's bad in any way, sense of the word. I just by saying it's traditionally done by, that's still a lot of room for others. Someone from the other gender to fill that role. We're not saying exclusively done by men or exclusively done by women.
Right.
If we're saying, birthing children, that's exclusively done by women. We know that. Okay. But yeah, something like construction work. Construction work is traditionally done by men. Police officers, traditionally men. Nurses, traditionally women. I mean, but both me and Justin work in hospitals, and we've all been pulled over by a female cop before. It's just it is what it is. But
you let me go.
Yeah.
That's how it goes.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Every female cop I've been pulled over has let me go. It's really a blanket statement to hurt men, to try to label men in this way. But I think that I love my wife, and I love the ways that she is, and she's so much different than me, and we complement each other. Our diversity is our strength. And I would never want my wife to be something that, and I would never try to preach her up to try to be something that.
No.
Anthony, can you mute your mic?
Yeah.
So
Here,
you can mute it right down below in there. Like that. I can mute your mic from there too. So my train of thought here is the diversity is our strength, and the fact that we're so different is really a beautiful thing, and we complement each other. And so I would never want to preach something into my wife to try to make her be something that she's not. Not saying that she can't be that person and step up if I wasn't around. I mean, plenty of women are doing it all over the world for all these men that are leaving the homes because they're, for whatever reason it may be, selfishness or other. And plenty of women are stepping up and being what they can to their kids, being a mom first and trying to fulfill the role of a dad. And so I understand, but the female and the male together is a beautiful thing, and it's like a yin and yang. It's a complete balance, and of course it's not perfect, but it's never going to be perfect.
I think yin and yang are both male names.
but I'm all. Yeah.
I thought that was your name, Ying Yang Chana.
I just sound kind of Asian, huh? When I when I
There
say
you are, there you are, little buddy. I thought your mic was still mute.
oh, he unmuted himself. How did he unmute himself?
I hit
Oh,
unmute.
yeah. I didn't think you could see that.
No, I'm good.
No.
Yeah, we're good now.
But yeah, I embrace it. I embrace it, and I think it's cool that my wife is the way that she is, and I wouldn't want her to be like a man. I mean, what kind of relationship would that be? But that goes back to like even like Thor: Love and Thunder. They take and I'm kind of going back to toxic masculinity subject, but taking the female and placing her in the male's role. And so in that movie, Thor just takes the back seat and he's like going through midlife crisis, while the woman who was not a superhero is written into the story. She is in the comic books, but this is like a very small run of the comic books and a very unpopular run of the comic books. But they take this one because they got to have the female in there and make her a superhero too. So they shoehorn her into the Thor movie, and the movie is completely terrible.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah,
and
you
it's
know-
not because of the female. It's just like, why are you here? This is a Thor movie. But at the end, the female saves the day, saves Thor, kills the bad guy. It's just like, and you could see it every single Marvel movie, from the new Black Panther movie to everything else. Of course, Chadwick Boseman died, rest in peace. But the always gender swapping, and the man is just totally trashed in the script. He's a boob the entire movie. He just can't go out and save the day. And it's like, is that really what you want to show girls? Because what you're doing is you're degrading men before little girls, and they watch these movies. Then they think, oh, okay, I'm the one. I'm going to be in charge, and this is how I'm going to treat my subordinates, or this
Right.
is how
Well, I think at the
equal to me because you're a man. I'm going to talk down to you.
well, I think that's the problem. We laid down that foundation that says to rise, you have to put someone down, and that's just no way to talk to people, or that's no way to get ahead. During my meetings
But
with my
they feel
kids,
that's what men did to them, and so
maybe they
it's
do.
kind of like revenge, but
Maybe. I know when I talk to my children at home, I tell them all the time, yes, they have no right to talk to anyone else, to talk down to anybody else, to degrade anybody else. That's not how you get ahead in life. You get ahead by working hard and for continuing to improve yourself. You don't have to put someone down to improve yourself. That's not how that works. Some people may feel like they get farther along that way. Some people may feel like maybe that's a shortcut. I don't know why they do it. You get to a certain level where you think you no longer have to care about your fellow man because they're beneath you. And I like the movies, like you're saying, they do a great job of showing a terrible example about that.
Right, but let's say they cut out the degrading part. Okay, and the female does what she does, and kind of helps the man, but you take out the degrading part of that. Now, what I see, when I see that part, and if you really think about it, it almost looks like, even though they're not married or together, it looks like a healthy relationship. Somebody's picking up the slack for the other person. So if you don't look at the degrading part of that thing, and I think that should be taken out, to be honest with you, because I think there could be a lot of good that comes from that. It's like, hey, you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense what I'm saying? Because we're looking at the negative, but that's because that's in it. The negative.
Exactly. Well, yeah, they put it in there, and they tainted the film in doing it, and they tainted the character. It really just it permeates throughout the entire film and the entire Marvel universe.
Right.
What they've done. But yeah, if you took out the negative and she was assisting, or she was equal, she was helping, they were a team, then it would be great. The ideology now is that a man cannot tell a woman what to do, cannot mansplain to her, and cannot be condescending, or cannot give her orders, cannot correct her, cannot can't tell her she's wrong, can't give her advice, can't train her. You won't see any of that in film right now, and there's a reason for it because they don't because the female wants to be superior to the male, and that's how they're written in the roles. And so this is what you're seeing. This is what they want. But be careful what you ask for.
Yeah, especially in Hollywood, because I mean, I don't know about you guys, but in my life, and I'm not talking in my circle of life, my circle of friends, my female friends don't go to the movies by themselves. They don't, and if it's up to them, they don't go to the movies at all. You know who buys movie tickets? Men.
I mean, they buy their romance. They like their.
Oh, possibly, but not even then. Really, how many times have you walked into a movie theater and it's just a sea of women?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to look at the statistics on that.
I have it too, but I don't see it very. I can't say I've ever seen any of that. I mean, I walked into plenty of movies, Star Wars. We Were Soldiers. Plenty of movies where it was nothing but men there.
Right, and it's movies written for men, and that's the point I'm making too. Is like, leave the stuff that's for men for men.
But
I think that's for women and if
I think that's I think that might be a Hollywood problem because
it really is. They're overcorrecting. They're overcorrecting for what they've done for years.
Well, I kind of think it also goes back to having no new ideas. I was telling my wife and I were talking recently about how every movie, and we all know this, every movie is a remake, redone, a part 2, when no sequel is needed. And the reason for that is because you have the same people in Hollywood have been there for the last 30 years and they're gatekeeping it. They're gatekeeping new ideas that they just, and they're out of ideas. These people have been in Hollywood 35, 40 years. They ran through all their fresh ideas. They ran through all their movies, and now they're recycling. Why? Because they don't want to let go of the power, which is Hollywood. So they just recycle their own movies. And they don't have good ideas for female roles. They don't have good ideas for empowering female movies that don't have to degrade the people. So what do they do instead? They just plug and play. They take out this character and put that character. Boom, it's a new movie. It's not a new movie. Same movie with less quality and more degradation.
Yeah, and people are tired of it. They're creatively bankrupt. Basically, all their new producers that they hire and directors are like diversity hires. And when you see them, when you see their IMDb, they have they did one episode on Breaking Bad season 4. That's it. And they're giving them huge Marvel movies, and they don't have a body of work to stand on. And then they're basically just kind of putting them in the role and then not even really letting them direct the film because the corporate overseers are in the works and basically telling them what they want and what they don't want. And so they're kind of just being held by the hand as they go through, but they got the job, first black director, first or whatever.
To take us back to this diversity is our strength. I think that if we were, and once again, I'm a big fan of Jordan Peterson. He talks about this in a video, I believe it's about 5 years ago, how Sweden has actually gone back to basically allowing or not pushing so much the woke ideology on people and not trying to do diversity hires, basically allowing people to go where they fit. And he was talking about how when left alone, men tend to go to man jobs and women tend to go to traditionally female jobs. And it just complements each other, and by like I said, we'll go back to healthcare. Women are just, I'm sorry, we've worked with plenty of women in healthcare, and I think that most time they care more. They empathize more. They sympathize more. I think they do. Do I go in there and do the best job I can? Absolutely. Do I care? Absolutely. Do I always show it? No, I don't. Because it's just not the way I'm wired.
Yeah. Yeah, and you don't have to. Do you need? But do you? So do you think you need to learn how to
Yeah,
show?
do I think I can improve my bedside care by learning how to empathize or sympathize?
Yeah.
It'd probably improve my bedside care. Would it improve the care I give overall? Um, I don't think so. Because if I thought it would become important to me to do so. But
Hmm.
I don't think my bedside care. I understand how it may make you feel better, which I guess that could overall help. But I think the quality of work I do when it comes to managing a patient would be the same.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. I could say that. Yeah, in healthcare, because of my Christian background, my belief, I'm m- more prone to pray for somebody if they're feeling down and they're looking bad. I'll ask them, and if they agree, then I'll pray with them. And oftentimes, yeah, I mean, but 95% of the time, they they feel better. And so I don't know if that's a feminine thing. I mean, it's a definitely I'm going beyond my comfort uh, level and reaching out to this person and asking them if they want to do that. But yeah, it doesn't improve the health care that I'm giving them. The the medication that I'm giving them isn't any better because of that. But I think that just them connecting with God and having that peace is good. But overall, I think through the course of the day of me doing those things and reaching out like that, like maybe like a man wouldn't, just makes my day go better overall. And then when I walk in, I have a real rapport with my patients that I wouldn't have had if I hadn't made that connection. But I don't know. That's a
But
memory.
I think, well, bouncing back off of the medical stuff, with nurses and stuff like that, and I think a lot of them just because I think a lot more females are nurses because they have more compassion.
Well,
They're
Anthony, let me just
Absolutely.
ask you: would you prefer a male nurse or a female nurse?
I mean, seeing from both my entire life, it'd be a female because I feel like they have more compassion. And I'm not saying that the males don't, but from what I've experienced, I've experienced some male nurses that were very compassionate. We're really just kind of like, hey, hey, do you need anything, or can I check on you, or this and that, and they would come in without me pushing the buttons sometimes. But I guess it just really comes down to compassion.
Yeah,
you have to want to have that mindset when you come into that field. You have to kind of know what you're getting yourself into, but at the same time, they're already going through a lot. You're already sitting in a gurney going through this or going through that. Last thing you need is somebody just kind of being a jerk.
yeah. Well, the funny thing is that
You
we
know,
are that just because you're female doesn't mean that you're super nurturing either. Because
I've had some aggressive
you
ones too.
get
I'm not saying I'm not, but
because I'm trying to think like what if you cried in front of a male nurse? You're a guy, you're in super pain, whatever. You're crying, and the guy is like, how's that male nurse gonna respond to you? Is he gonna like, rub your arm like a female would? Or like, are you gonna be all right? Or is he just gonna be like, suck it up, bro? You're gonna be fine. I gotta go.
You know what? I don't like either scenario. I don't want him to tell me suck it up, but I definitely don't want him touching me. I don't want either scenario.
all I know is that
but but now flip that for the jaded female nurse, their patients crying to them, they'll do the same thing. I see some coldness, so there it goes both ways. I've seen females be just as cold shoulder as
yeah.
and low empathy, especially trying to understand people on drugs and things like that, just having no understanding for you know what they've done to themselves and what they're going through, because they obviously never
Yeah,
done.
I would say that's a big reason why I would find it very difficult to work at a children's hospital. These children haven't done anything themselves. Versus an adult, that's easy to justify. You smoked, for 40 years. You ate, 10,000 calories a day for the last 20 years. It's so easy to separate yourself from the patient in an adult setting. And as a man, I think it's even easier. As a man, it's like there's a wall. I'm here to do a job. I'm going to do the best I can,
Right.
and and you don't want me to emphasize. I don't want to either. You don't want me to rub your shoulder, and I don't want to rub your shoulder. It's.
I mean, wait. For the record, I've never had a male or female nurse rub my shoulder. Just to
really, I've seen plenty of nurses and RTs go and give like back massages, make people feel better, caress their hands.
Yeah,
and it's
okay. The back rubbing I've had before because I've thrown up and they've kind of just gave me the medicine that kind of helped me out in that area. But
they're trying to put you out the way. Like, get out of here.
Huh? Hey, whose back did you rub?
I didn't rub nobody's back. I'm saying I was throwing up. And a nurse that did come by and kind of give me a back rub like this, kind of gently helped me out. But
a guy?
No, it was a female.
Oh,
but
it's a female.
But at the same time, again, it comes down to compassion. I mean, you could be a male, you could be a female, whatever you want, but your heart has to be compassionate about it. I think there's more compassion per se in females, and I think that's what we want to believe, what we want to think. But again, at the end of the day, some people are there for the pain, some people are there for the passion.
I have some pushback. I have some pushback for there. I don't think women have more compassion. I think they show more compassion. I think as a person, I think we because I feel like I'm compassionate. I mean, I have children, I have people I care about. When I see a homeless man in the street, I feel for them, and if I feel moved to help them out, I will. But I think men and women show their care in different ways. My wife cares for the children, and when they're sick, she doesn't mind going in the room, being with them, bathing. I care for the children, so I work 12 hours overnight. I'm 2 hours away because I care for my children. I think there's different ways men and women show their compassion in different forms.
Mm-hmm.
And that brings us to our next topic: the modern, mundane marriage. Traditional or modern? What do you go for? I'm gonna take the one on this. I say I go for the traditional, definitely. But the thing about the woman staying home and taking care of the kids, taking care of the home, that's a great thing. And the man working, providing, coming home, and meeting together at home in the evening. I mean, it's a perfect situation. It's the way maybe it was designed to be, maybe not. But the way it is now with inflation and the prices these days it's like you have to have those dual incomes, or one person has to work 2 jobs, 3 jobs to try to supplement, and then they make it work. That's the only so it's really hard for the woman to stay home these days. So even if they wanted to be traditional, they couldn't be.
So I was going to say, I think what you're describing is a modern marriage. It's like modern. It's almost like not so much modern. I think you're more describing a. I'm
saying it's modern, but I don't want it to be. But
okay.
I'm forced out of my traditional marriage.
Yeah, in my marriage, I would say we're more traditional in my household. My wife stays home. She's always stayed home with the kids, and we have 4 children at the same time. We're talking about inflation. We're talking about childcare. Who can afford childcare?
I know it's like $800, $1,000 a month.
Yeah, and our kids are 3 years apart. So at one point in time, 3 of our kids were in diapers. And we're just talking about like just diapers and food and formula and then on top of that, you know how expensive a child is to put in daycare. Imagine an infant in daycare. It would actually cost us money for my wife to go to work,
and they're harder to find.
Yeah, so I mean, I think we fell into the traditional marriage rules, but we fell into it not so much that we went or we set out to say, hey, we're gonna have a traditional marriage. I think that's the hand we were dealt, and that's what we've known the whole time. And now our kids are older. My wife wanted to go to work, she could, but it's just not what we want. It's not what's comfortable for us. And she's gone to work. I want to say, I mean, she's educated. Don't get me wrong. I believe she has 2 degrees actually and a certificate. She graduated distinguished honor grad when she did go to college. I mean, she's educated, but she doesn't work. And the night before she's going to go to work, we're laying in bed. Now she told me I got a job. I graduated, I got a job. And literally right before the, am I frozen?
Maybe.
You're
Yeah, your
on.
camera went off. Keep rolling.
Okay. So literally we're laying there in bed and I didn't realize that in the morning that she was going to work. And when she told me I got to go to sleep early, I have to work tomorrow. And I said, oh my God. I said, I saw about it. I said, do you really want to go to work? And she said, no. Do you really want me to go to work? I said, no. And then that was it. She just didn't go. I mean,
That was it. Stayed
that
home
was
forever.
that was like that's what we decided, that for our family it was just best if she stayed home. It was good for the kids. It's good for our marriage.
Awesome.
So I don't know why my camera just shut off and it's just not reconnecting.
Yeah, you might have to just jump out and then jump back in.
With that, with what Jana was saying too, because one of the things that happened today that actually goes along with this is my daughter and I were hanging out, and one of the things that we did, we were hanging out in the truck. I unlocked the door because she likes playing in the truck, and right now I have to get a new part for it, so we're just hanging out, and we're sitting in the truck, and she sees a badge from when I did security, and then she sees a badge from working at Lendo Lakes, and she goes. She said, that's Daddy. And I said, yeah. She goes, that's when you work. I said, yeah. And she's 2, I said, yeah. And she goes, yeah. She goes, you worked a lot. And I thought, how did you know that? Because you weren't even born when I was working. And then, when I started kind of, as she was, she was born. When she wasn't, how do I put this? She wasn't born yet, and I was working at Land Lakes, and then I was working at security again, and she was born, and then she told me, she said, Mommy and I used to come visit you at work, and then we'd go home, and then you'd go back to work. She goes, you were always at work, you were never home. And I thought, how in the world? And I was telling my wife this today too. I said, how? She goes, I don't know. I said, think about that, though. She wasn't old enough to really realize what was going on. But for some reason, when she saw my picture, she knew Dad was always at work.
Mm-hmm.
I was always home with Mommy. So it kind of just threw me off a little bit, a little bit to kind of realize, like, it kind of made me wonder, like, how is that? How did she know that at that age, But the goal, the goal for us, I think at that time was, and I think I had talked to you about it, I want to get hired at this job so my wife doesn't have to work.
Mm-hmm.
I want to make it to where she can hang out at home and finish school if she wants and do whatever she wants. I don't want her to feel like she has to work, and that was the goal. And it didn't work out that way, but, it just kind of made me think a little, blew my mind, because that's exactly what she talked to me about today. She said, that's my dad, and he was always at work.
You feel bad about it?
I mean, kind of, yeah. Because you don't think you're going to feel bad about it, but when your
I know
2-year-old has a better memory than apparently you thought she did, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're always at work. I'm just like, how did you know?
I'm sure my kids will say the same thing, but it goes back to what Shauna was saying. You have a family to provide for, and it's like, and Shauna's even said this before, and I speak for him, but he said something that really stuck out to me. He's like, I can give you time, or I can give you like love, or I can give you money, or like provide for you, but I can give you 2 of those 3, but I can't give you all 3. Something like that. Some kind of saying like that. And I was like, yeah, that's really good, because it is true. It's like there's only so much you can do. So there you go. There you are.
So okay, I had to jump on my iPad, so I'm probably gonna jump off some.
Hey, look at you! Hey, you made it happen though. Good. Yeah, we're about to wrap it up right now. But, tell them what I was trying to reiterate what you had said about the 3 things that the father could give a child.
Our family, a father can give a child time, Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Time, money, or quality. Okay.
Like quality? You say
yeah,
quality?
yeah, it's quality. So it's like I can give you time, and it can be quality time, but I can't give you money. I can give you money and quality, but there'll be no time. I can give you time and money, but it won't be a quality. Or I guess I say substance instead of quality. Substance.
All right.
I can give you time, I can give you substance, but I can't give you money. I can give you money, I can give you substance, but I can't give you time. I can give you, so unfortunately, that's the kind of world we live in. Don't get me wrong, there are ways to figure this out, and that's another thing about being a traditional family. This is one thing I talked about Justin earlier. If you want to be in a traditional family, honestly, it's a lot of work for both people. I used to say it's a lot of work for the dad because I didn't know better, but now it's a lot of work. Now I look back, it's a lot of work. Currently I'm not married. It's a lot of work for both people. I do have the responsibility of paying the bills. We have 4 children. We live on a big piece of property. We have multiple vehicles. We have a lot of responsibilities. And I wake up every morning knowing that financially I am responsible. If I am not unable to work, if I get hurt, if I don't want to work, then my family will suffer from that. At the flip side, I come home and I don't have to worry about anything else. I don't have to worry, hey, do I need to go grocery shopping? I don't have to worry about the laundry. I don't have to worry about dishes and so on, go on and so forth. But that's the things my wife worries about. My wife worries about, do the kids have clean clothes from school? Are the kids have all the school supplies they need? Their doctor's appointments, are they in order? These are things that she takes care of. And if she didn't, they wouldn't fall through the cracks.
Right.
Now, because of this, I think we complement each other very well. I do not want to do her job. I don't want to do it. I know that's probably very unpopular. Nowadays, everyone's like, well, everything should be split 50-50, 50-50. First of all, nothing's ever 50-50. And second of all, it's not, I don't have to do 50% of laundry and she does 50% of laundry. That doesn't make it equal. What makes it equal is I support her and she supports me. That's what makes it equal. Not depending on who washes the most socks or who cooks the most dinners.
Right.
Or who even earns the most money. One thing that we've done from the very beginning is we have always, I don't like the term, but we've shared money. We have a bank account. We have 2 bank accounts, one for bills and one for spending. We both have access to it. We sit down and we go over the budget together. I understand a lot of people do. They have their money split, and this is usually dual income families. The man has his income, the female has her income, and they go from there. I just don't understand how that works. I don't really want to understand how that works.
Yeah, me neither.
But yeah, and aside from that, I have been fortunate in life. And this is another thing about being a traditional marriage. You're not going to be 18 years old and have a working traditional marriage. I'm sorry, it's just not going to happen because of inflation. Okay, so what's really helped me out is we didn't have 4 children at the beginning. We obviously built up to 4 children. We didn't have the house we have now. We built up to it. We don't have the cars and all this and that. Right? I was in the military. My wife stayed home, and we lived on a budget. And then as I retired, I took my retirement, and then I went and kept working. I could have gone home and said, I'm retired, I'm done. But no, I went to school, I got another career, and now we are a dual income family, but with one person working. And that's what makes it work for us. And I wouldn't have it any other way. Probably the most toxic thing, I do, and I know I do this, is my wife and I have talked about this. The idea of my wife going to work and having another man tell her what to do, or even worse, degrading her at work, I just can't. I just can't do it. You know what I mean? I just can't. I wouldn't allow that. I don't talk to my wife that way. And the idea of somebody else talking to her that way, absolutely not. Absolutely.
Yeah. That just boils your blood.
It just does. I would rather lose everything or just, work a 3rd or 4th job before that happened.
Yeah, no, I agree. And one of the things that we were talking about before, I don't know what happened with your camera situation, but if you don't mind kind of repeating, you don't mind me repeating it real quick, because I think you'll. One of the things that Justin and I were talking about right now is today, my daughter and I were sitting in my truck because she likes sitting in it. It doesn't run right now. I need to put a new part on there, but we were sitting in the truck, and there were my badges hanging on the mirror. One of them's from Land O'Lakes, and a couple of them for security. And what I was saying was, she wasn't even born yet when I was doing some of these jobs. And she looked at these and she goes, "That's when Daddy worked." And I sat there and I thought, "How did you know that?" She goes, "Yeah, Daddy worked all the time. Mommy and I stayed home, and you worked." Now she's 2 now, but she wasn't even born at that time, you know?
Yeah.
And I said, "What do you mean?" She goes, "You worked, and you were always gone, and Mommy and I were home." You know, it's one of those things I just kind of think about. You know, I went into it a little bit deeper earlier, but you kind of get the idea. I just sat there and I asked her, I said, "Well, how did you know that?" You know what I'm saying? Like, how did you
She's
know?
clairvoyant.
How did you know that I was, you know?
She didn't like that statement. I'm sorry, baby.
Girl, that's a full camper.
How did you know? You know what I'm saying?
I said she was clairvoyant, and she started crying.
Yeah. Did that pick up on the headphones?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm sorry.
So how how did
You know what I mean?
she?
Tono? So, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just kind of one of those things. Like, how did you know?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? She looked at a badge and she's like, "You were never home." Basically, to sum it up, you were never home. You were always working, you know? And I thought, man.
Yeah.
But again, it goes back to what you were saying, though. The bills were paid. I never had to worry about nothing. When I came home, I knew clothes were done, food was made, the fridge was full. My truck and her car always had gas in it. If we had any extra money, I didn't know about it unless I asked. But the only thing that I ever asked was, "Are the bills paid?" And they were always paid, you know. But now the roles have kind of switched. Wow.
I'm sorry. No, I'm just. Well, I'm
No, you're
gonna
okay.
I'm gonna jump off in a few minutes because I just this mess.
Yeah. No, you're fine. But you know, the roles are switched now, where I'm a stay-at-home dad, and so now I'm a part of my daughter's life on a different level. That if I was working, I wouldn't be able to do that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So there's a positive and a negative to it. As much as I want to work, I feel like I'm okay where I'm at because I'm able to experience stuff that I don't think I would have been able to if I went back to work today.
Right.
Mhm.
You know, so
That's good.
yeah.
That's good stuff. Yeah, I think the marriage is our marriage is strong, and I love my wife just the way she is. I just recently pushed her and supported her through getting a promotion at work, and I was just helping her and encouraging her and telling her, you know, she can do it, and she's awesome at what she does, and she was encouraged to do it, and she did it, and she got the job. So
Wow.
I was really, really happy for her. Now she's a supervisor, and so doing great things. But she also does the dishes.
Yeah, but that's because she wouldn't let anybody do them, though. It was like her thing.
But you know what? I do the dishes too. So
Okay.
you know, it's all about the balance.
Yeah,
Men
big
need
time.
women, women need men. We need
Yep.
each other, and we can celebrate our differences and come together and complement each other. So I like to just thank my guys for being here with me. We're all together here on Conversation Nation Live. We finally did it. We worked all week, worked our butts off. We're super tired, but we're here just doing what we love. And thank you for everybody that came on and commented and just chilled with us on this ride, just an hour long. So later, if you can, subscribe, like, and we're just going to keep this rolling. We're going to shoot for Sunday. We're going to shoot for Sunday at 6. I don't know if we will do it, but that's what we're doing, right? We're doing Sunday. We're trying to do Sunday.
Let me see here.
Sunday, a good day.
He's calling out of work right now through text.
Yeah.
I'll work Sunday.
Work Sunday, okay. All right. We'll figure out a day. We'll get it on Facebook, get it out there a little better,
All right.
and just keep moving. All right. So from the West Coast,
To the East Coast,
from California,
Georgia.
this is Conversation Nation.
Awesome.
And we'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. We'll be back next week.